Hi, Michael Bettine here once again. And this week, we're going to answer some of your questions right here on It's Cuppa Time. Questions. I get questions, and everybody has questions. I have a little list here, and we're going to talk about a few different things. A couple of them are related, but things that I get asked a lot or I see people asking a lot. And the first one is about holy grails, the Holy Grail gong or instrument. If you've played drums for any length of time, as a drummer, especially as a jazz drummer, then you know there are some truly fanatical people out there who are looking for the Holy Grail symbol, the ultimate symbol that they think will give them the power to be the most amazing jazz drummer out there. And I see this all the time with jazz drummers, especially looking for a symbol. I need one just like famed jazz drummer Tony Williams played on the album Nefertiti. That's sort of held up as the ultimate ride symbol. And so many guys are like, I gotta find one that's like that. I gotta find one. And you'll see guys just buying ride cymbals and flipping them and buying them and flipping them, looking for the ultimate one, the Holy Grail. And I've seen that with gong players too, buying gongs, flipping them, buying them, flipping them, looking for that Holy Grail gong. Well, I've got news for you. The Holy Grail is a myth. There is no ultimate cymbal or gong or bell or bowl. And the most important one is the one you have right now, right in front of you, or in my case, right behind me. What you need to do is work with what you have. Playing these instruments is developing a relationship. Now, it's really easy. I mean, gongs are the easiest instruments in the world. All you have to do is hit them, and you get a really nice sound. You don't have to be any sort of virtuoso. It's easy as that. Hit the gong. But it's also so much more than that. That's just scratching the surface right there. Just, okay, I can hit the gong. And that also goes back to this. People say, let the gong be your teacher. I love that saying because I think it's extremely naive. Again, gongs are easy to play. You get a nice mallet, you get a gong, you strike it, and you get a pleasant sound. Unless you hit it, way too hard, then you get a loud, obnoxious crash. But it doesn't take any talent to play a gong and get a nice sound. A 5-year-old kid can do that. But as I said, that's scratching the surface. That's not even getting into what potential you have in a piece of metal like this. So all these people, the gong can be your teacher. Just buy a gong and play it. And it's like, that's so wrong. Yes, the gong can teach you a lot. But the real important thing is you have to know what questions to ask your gong in order to learn something from it. You have to know more than just hitting the surface and going, well, that sounds good. So as I always say, you have to practice your instruments. You've got to work at it. This is a craft. No different than being a musician playing any other instrument. You don't get to be a soloist in front of a symphony playing your violin just by going, I make some good sounds, that's good enough. No, these people put in years and years and years of practice. And they're refining their technique. They are refining their sound. And they get it to the point where they can make any given sound that they have in their mind at any time. And it's no different than playing these instruments. We need to practice so that we know when we strike it in a certain place and with a certain force, it is going to create a certain sound. And it's not just going to be an accident. Again, it's so easy, grab a mallet here, to just, what a great sound, But there's so many different sounds I can get than that by using different mallets. Here's a large padded mallet. I can use a smaller yarn mallet. I can use marimba mallets. I can use all kinds of mallets. I can play it in different places, near the edge, near the center, on the edge. I can use a different sort of force. If I hit it lightly, there's one sound, a little more. Hit it near the edge. So, this idea of the gong being your teacher. Yes, it can be your teacher, but only if you know something already. And the gong was my teacher in a lot of ways, but I came into the gong having had years and years of percussion training. So I knew a lot of the questions to ask the gong. I had a lot of technique already. So I was able to explore all the different gongs I buy and find the sounds in them. So that's really important. Okay, the Holy Grail gong. No, it's the one in front of you, the one you have. Play that one. Try to get all the sounds you can out of it. Don't just hit it with a big padded mallet in the center or on the edge and say, okay, that's it. There's so much more any gong has to offer. Get more mallets, learn how to play them with different force, and bring out different sounds. And different gongs will have sweet spots. You might hit it here and get one sort of sound, whereas you hit it on the opposite side and get a whole different sound. And you might only get that specific sound right up here, nowhere else on the gong. So learn your gongs. Find the sweet spots. And most importantly, learn how to create that sound whenever you want it. Don't make it just an accidental sound. Okay, Holy Grails and practicing. It's the only thing. The only Holy Grail is you working hard, okay? The two related questions I have. What kind of mallet can you get less attack with? And I see this happen a lot. People are really worried about attack. Okay? So let's take a couple of different mallets here. If I play, this is a marimba mallet, a yarn wound one. It's going to have some attack because it's fairly hard. Now if I strike it with a lot of force with a quick snap, you can hear there's a lot of attack there. But if I just play lightly, there's not as much attack. Something like this. It's a really hard felt. It's going to have a lot of attack to it. Next I have a yarn one, a hard yarn one. Depending on how I strike it, I'm going to get more attack. And then if I take a big padded one, you're going to get less attack with a padded one. But I think people are worried way too much about the attack sound and wanting this super soft sound. When you're playing a gong and you are right up here, you hear everything. You hear everything on a micro level, all the little sounds, all the little nuances. If you get 10 feet, 15, 20 feet away, people cannot hear that. So if you're doing a gong session and you have people laying on yoga mats 10 or more feet away, they're not going to hear what you hear. Those little sounds, those little attack sounds of the mallet touching the gong, they don't carry, not unless you're playing with a lot of force. So I can play this with a hard yarn wound mallet. And up close, yeah, I'm going to hear some sound because it's fairly hard. But again, like I said, if I move away from it, you're not going to hear it. So try this with your gong. Have a friend strike your gong. But first, go up to your gong with a mallet that you think has too much attack and play it and listen to it. Okay. Then have a friend play it as you move back and listen to it. And notice how as you get further back, there'll be none of that sound. You won't hear the attack. You'll just hear the gong itself. Okay, so mallets, yeah, they make a difference, but you can get a soft sound with just about any mallet. It's all in how you hit it. Now the other part of that same question, sort of, that I get asked a lot, is what is the quietest mallet out there? Well, the easy answer is a big, soft, fuzzy, padded one. That can be really quiet. But if you develop your technique, any mallet can be quiet. That's how hard you hit the gong. And it's developing a good technique where you're just not laying into the gong and getting it moving. It's also where you strike the gong as far as getting that much metal moving. So that's, again, practice. You got to work at it. You've got to play your gongs all the time. You have to learn what you're doing. So if you want to play quietly, again, let me get these mallets back here. If I want to play quietly, I can play quietly with a fairly hard mallet. I'm just not laying into it. You might hear some attack sound because the microphone is real close. Or I'll take a big padded mallet here. I can play quietly with that. Here's a medium cord wound mallet here. Smaller head, it's just going to get the higher notes. I can play quietly. I can turn this over and use the birch handle. It's a very light sound because I'm not getting the metal to move much. It's very high pitched, but it's quiet. I can even play with the handle of the big mallet if, you know. So here's a hard wooden handle. And I'm playing very quietly. Of course, the texture changes from a very percussive, high-pitched sound now with the padded end, a very low pitch sound with more spread because I can get more of the gong moving. So to reiterate, there is no quiet mallet. There are some mallets that are easier to play quiet with, such as a very thickly padded mallet. Yes, you can play quiet with it much easier, but you can take any mallet and play softly. Just to prove that, let me grab another one. I have my stick bag over here off camera. This is a polyball mallet. It's hard polymer, mainly used for things like orchestra bells and other things. Now, if I hit real hard, I get a very brash sort of sound, and it's like real irritating. But I can take this same hard polyball I can play as quietly with that as I'm playing with the big padded mallet. I can use them both even. So if we look at things, you should be able to do anything with any mallet. Play it loudly, play it with less attack. It's all in how you do it. And that's because the two most important instruments you have are your hands. This is what controls everything. This controls the sound. And the sound is actually here. It starts here. Everybody thinks the sound is here in the gong or the bell or the bowl. This is just a piece of metal. There's no inherent sound in it. Yes, it will make a sound, but the sound starts here. It's very much like athletes. If you talk to athletes about how they play their game, whatever it is, what they do, it's so much mental and it's so much, here from whatever you want to call it, the heart, the soul, the body. It comes from there. Especially if you read books like The Inner Game of Tennis or The Inner Game of Golf. A favorite one of mine is Zen in the Art of Archery, about a Western guy who went to Japan and learned their ancient art of archery and how it was so much more a thought process than just shooting arrows, that it really is a Zen thing to it. So, these are our instruments here. And the mallets are just extensions of our hands. But it all comes from in here and in here. And we have to think about, again, what sound are we trying to produce? What sound are we creating? Not just randomly, I'm just going to hit the gong. And I see too many people do that. Let me grab some mallets again here. Just playing, just randomly hitting like that, without apparently any sort of thought. And it sounds that way, where if I'm thinking what kind of sounds I want to get, this gong, this old sound creation prototype gong, if I play it up here, I can bring out a specific high harmonic. It doesn't happen anywhere else. So you can kind of hear that. Hopefully it's coming through. There's a very high harmonic in there. Mallets are extensions of your hands, extensions of your body, your mind, your soul, your spirit, however you want to define it. And you really need to feel that way, to think that way. Everything is coming from you. It's not coming from the gongs. It's only coming from the mallets as extensions of your hands, as extensions of you. But this is what's important. So sort of the Zen of gong playing, or however you want to describe it, but it really does come down to that. You have to think about what you're doing. You have to know what you're doing. And it has to come from here, from here, from here. It's got to come from inside. So, with that in mind, go practice. Go play your gongs some. And you don't have to play them loudly either. A lot of times I come here in my studio and I'm just playing them very quietly like this. Looking to get the subtle shades out of things. What can I do without getting it to really resonate and crash? What can I get out of it? So go practice, and we'll see you next week on It's Cuppa Time.